Welcome to the HSCPOA and OPSWA webinar, where we brought HSCPOA right to you guys to answer all the questions and introduce themselves as the new regulatory framework for the personal support workers in the province of Ontario that is coming into effect and is in effect right now. I know that a lot of you guys have a lot of questions about what is happening in the PSW world in regards to HSCPOA, and they are here to answer your questions. My name is Miranda Romanovic. I am the CEO of the Ontario PSW Association, and I am really thrilled to welcome them for our second webinar of the day. I'm going to actually turn it over to Trevor Lee, who is the CEO of HSCPOA, to introduce the team and start the presentation. Welcome, everyone.
Great. Thanks so very much, Miranda. And through you to all of your members and those who are joined on to this webinar, so pleased to be with you. I'm joined by my colleagues, Deborah Cohen, Registration Manager, Daniel Jansen, Complaints Investigations, Discipline and Appeals Manager, and Lisa Gibson, our Communications Manager. So pleased to be with you this afternoon, and our second of our two webinars over the course of today. So I'll get us started. 1 second. So I'd like to go through the table of contents of what we're going to accomplish. So our presentation will cover the following topics: a brief overview of HSCPOA benefits to registration, and the overall issue of how to apply, and then complaints process, and then we'll have time for questions at the end. So it's important for the public, Ontario's valued PSWs, and others to have a clear understanding that these separate organizations have different mandates, but we share a common focus on the importance of PSWs within Ontario's healthcare system. It is especially to serve the public well for communications to be crystal clear so that they understand who HSCPOA registered PSWs are accountable to, where to go for information about HSCPOA registered PSWs or assistance, and for what services. Please do reach out to us if there's any interest in HSCPOA presenting or holding a joint town hall for your organization. As an independent and unbiased regulator, we do not endorse or partner with a particular association. Our goal is to ensure accurate information is circulated about HSCPOA through as many communication opportunities as possible. It does take a village to get this information out there. HSCPOA's website has a speaker request form on the promotions page, and you can find that at HSCPOA, hscpoa.com/promotion. So many PSWs have been asking, what's the difference between HSCPOA and OPSWA? Simply put, HSCPOA's mandate or purpose is public protection. OPSWA acts or advocates on behalf of PSWs, and Miranda, I'm sure, will be addressing some of that in the presentation that follows ours. HSCPOA has developed an information sheet that outlines the differences between our two organizations, and another information sheet that demonstrates that together we are working well and that we are stronger if we work together. Both HSCPOA and PSW associations, like OPSWA, have separate yet important roles to play in Ontario's healthcare system. The creation of HSCPOA values the contributions and critical roles that PSWs play to deliver quality care in Ontario's healthcare system. We understand that oversight and regulation of PSWs is new for the sector and that it takes time to build an understanding. This is a lot of information to process. So we have a short video to provide an overview of HSCPOA and its regulatory framework.
The Health and Supportive Care Providers Oversight Authority was created by the Government of Ontario to support public protection. As a PSW, by registering with HSCPOA, you demonstrate to your employers and care recipients that you will deliver safe, quality care. Your registration with HSCPOA now helps shape the future direction of PSW regulation in Ontario. HSCPOA's role is to register qualified PSWs and hold them accountable for providing safe, quality, ethical care to Ontarians in their homes, hospitals, long-term care and retirement facilities, or other environments. Our work includes establishing consistency in education and skills-based requirements, maintaining an online public register for access to information about Ontario's HSCPOA registered PSWs, ensuring registered PSWs adhere to HSCPOA's Code of Ethics, addressing complaints through a fair and transparent process, and overseeing disciplinary action, all while authorizing qualified and registered PSWs to use the HSCPOA PSW visual mark, which enhances trust in the work that registered PSWs do. HSCPOA's oversight inspires public confidence that registered PSWs will deliver safe, competent, ethical, quality care in Ontario. To learn more, visit hscpoa.com/public.
Okay, thank you. That's a great video. We are aware that there were 2 previous attempts in Ontario to create a register for PSWs. To be clear, both attempts were involved as registry only, not creation of a regulatory body. HSCPOA is different. We are an oversight and regulatory body for PSWs in Ontario. We operate much like other health regulatory bodies in Ontario, like the College of Nurses of Ontario, the College of Dietitians, and the College of Physiotherapists, to name a few. But we fall under different legislation or law called the HSCPOA Act. The HSCPOA has an overarching legislation and regulatory framework, including a public register of PSWs that previous PSW registries in Ontario were not provided. HSCPOA regulates, oversees, and holds registered PSWs accountable for safe, ethical, and competent care in the interest of public protection. As you saw from the video, the overarching mandate of HSCPOA is public protection. HSCPOA will oversee HSCPOA registered PSWs to ensure the delivery of safe, quality, ethical, and accountable care. Registration is voluntary for PSWs in Ontario. PSWs can continue to work in Ontario without being registered unless an employer has made it mandatory for their PSW employees to be registered with HSCPOA. The Ministry of Health was deliberate in making registration with HSCPOA voluntary. The rationale for voluntary registration is to avoid any disruptions on the healthcare system as the PSW supply in Ontario. In the future, HSCPOA anticipates PSW registration to possibly become mandatory based on MOH decision-making, but we're unsure as to when this will be taking place, and once we have the ability to share that information and engage with the public, we will certainly be doing so, as would the Ministry of Health. There are currently no fees to apply and register with HSCPOA, as the Ministry of Health is currently funding the work of HSCPOA for the foreseeable future. I'll turn it over to Deb for the next series of slides. Thanks very much.
Great. Thank you so much, Trevor. All right, so we're going to switch gears into the registration process. And before we begin, we just wanted to highlight some of the benefits to registration. There are many benefits, even though there is a voluntary approach to registration with HSCPOA. So trust and respect is one of the benefits. Registration demonstrates that a PSW has met the requirements for registration as outlined in HSCPOA's registration regulation, and that you as a registered PSW are committed to delivering safe, quality care. This helps build the reputation of PSWs as trusted healthcare providers. Registration demonstrates a PSW's accountability to provide safe, quality care like other regulated health professionals, such as nurses, dietitians, physiotherapists that Trevor mentioned. And registration also helps a PSW stand out as a trusted healthcare provider. There may be more employment opportunities for PSWs because we are learning more and more that many employers in Ontario of PSWs are making registration mandatory based on an internal policy decision, or they are strongly encouraging registration for all their current and new hires as PSW employees. PSW registrants with HSCPOA can use the PSW visual mark to help easily identify to employers, colleagues, and care recipients that they are accountable for safe care. We have developed a PSW visual mark guide to assist both PSW registrants and their employers about usage of this unique identifier. Registration with HSCPOA is currently free, which is another benefit. Now, we have a stepwise process of how to apply that's shown on this slide. So initially, you're going to learn about the pathways to registration that to determine which pathway applies to you. And certainly attending this webinar today does help you do just that. So most of the PSWs on the webinar are going to be eligible through either Path 1 or Path 2. You're going to then set up an application profile, and HSCPOA's database provider is called Alinity. You're going to use a personal email address, ideally, versus your work email to set up your profile. And that's to ensure that your email address is always accessible to you in case you end up changing jobs. The next step is you're going to gather the documents required to complete your application, and our website content lists what those requirements are, and the application form guides you through the process. We also have some resources such as an application guide and demonstration videos to assist you. You're then going to follow the steps to complete your application and submit it. And then once your application form has been received, you will receive a confirmation email that we have received the application, and we will get back to you if we have any questions. If your application is complete, then it will go into the queue to review your file. And once you have been reviewed and approved, you will receive a congratulations email that you have become a registered PSW with HSCPOA. The email will also outline some additional requirements for you as a registrant with HSCPOA. Our goal is to try to process applications in the fastest way possible. While we have a standard, timeline of 5 to 10 business days, we're probably closer to about 5 business days, and we really do try to get through all of the applications and inquiries as fast as possible. So as you saw on the previous slide, there are the 4 pathways to registration that are outlined here. And so path 1 includes those that have completed recognized PSW education in Ontario on or after July 1st of 2014. The reason for that date is that that's when the Ministry of Colleges and Universities established their PSW standards for PSW education programs that all recognized programs are held to. And so those education programs follow those standards. For those that have completed their education before July 1st of 2014, or even have been actually trained on the job exclusively and maybe have been providing care for decades as a PSW, you have an opportunity to become registered through Path 2. And so, Path 2's intention is to recognize those and value those within the healthcare system that have been working as PSWs for many years. As the registration regulation specifies now, the deadline or the closure date of the Path 2 is December 1st of 2027. Path 3 is our labor mobility pathway, and this includes those that are registered in Alberta, BC, or Nova Scotia as healthcare aides or continuing care assistants, which is the equivalent of PSWs in the other in those respective provinces. We recognize internationally educated and those outside of Ontario who aren't eligible through labor mobility to become registered as a PSW. Our recognition of nurses and midwives policy also recognizes nurses who have either been internationally trained or trained in Canada to become registered, as we know many PSWs who are nurse or many PSWs work from their previous training as nurses. All pathways to registration demonstrate education and/or experience requirements depending on the pathway. There is a language proficiency requirement, which many people are demonstrating through their completion of education as a PSW in either English or French. And then there is a good character requirement. The good character requirement includes a criminal record check, attestations or declarations on the application form, and a letter of standing if you have ever been registered elsewhere with another regulatory body. To learn more about each application pathway, you can select Apply Now from the HSCPOA homepage banner. A link to the application form is also available on each pathway page. If an applicant knows which pathway to apply through, they can access the application sign-up page through their respective pathway, or they can go up to PSW login in the top right-hand section of our website and go directly to the sign-up page. To date, HSCPOA has many registrants who have voluntarily become registered as PSWs. So since our legislation took effect on December 1st of 2024, in order to begin registering eligible PSWs, we have registered over 13,000 PSWs. We are gaining about 1,000 new PSWs each month. So we are very much, a busy team in registration, but we understand that this is a small fraction of the PSW supply in Ontario, but we are ready to receive a high volume of applications. And so we welcome receiving applications from you as PSWs. The pathways that PSWs are primarily becoming registered under, just for the nature of the applications received to date, is that primarily through Path 1 and then also through Path 2. We anticipate a much higher volume of Path 2 applicants coming in the coming months and years. Now, registration statistics can also be provided on where PSWs work. So we do have a requirement that our registrants indicate where they are working. And the majority of our registrants to date are working in the long-term care sector, as well as home and community care, and to a lesser extent, hospitals and retirement homes. Once you are a PSW registered with HSCPOA, you are held accountable for safe, quality, and ethical care according to HSCPOA's Code of Ethics. And Daniel will speak a little bit more about that in the next section. So you have a requirement as a registrant, just like any other regulated provider, to keep your profile up to date. So if you move or your contact details change or you add or change employers, then you have a requirement to keep your profile updated with HSCPOA. There is a mandatory reporting obligation for PSW registrants, which is very similar to other regulated health professionals. There is also an annual renewal requirement. So all registrants maintain their registration in good standing by renewing their registration annually. There's no cost to renew. You are required to submit a criminal record check upon application only, not annually at annual renewal. But as a registrant held accountable to HSCPOA's Code of Ethics, you answer the declaration questions honestly and truthfully. We will send emails to all of our registrants when renewal will open, and it will run for a period of 2 months from February 1st until the end of March, so March 31st annually. So we will send you an email as a heads up and several reminders so you don't miss the deadline date. Okay, so I'm going to hand it over now to Daniel.
Okay, great. Thank you, Deb. So I'll shift gears a little bit for just the next few slides in the complaints, and I'll try to clear up some of the misconceptions we're hearing out there with regards to HSCPOA's complaints process. So starting with the Code of Ethics. So HSCPOA registered PSWs are obligated to follow the requirements outlined in HSCPOA's Code of Ethics under the HSCPOA Act. Then we have excerpts of the code on our web, which we have outlined here for you in this info sheet on this slide. And what the code does is it details 10 specific sections, so such as surrounding items such as professionalism and accountability, honesty and integrity, use, privacy and confidentiality, among others, with various subtopics that explain how registrants are expected to conduct themselves when engaging with or providing care to recipients of health and supportive care services. And the code also forms the basis for and is the benchmark for our complaints process. What that means when we receive a query or we receive a complaint, it is the code that is used to determine the issues that HSCPOA can address. So it's anticipated that the vast majority of registrants, HSCPOA registrants, will provide safe, quality, and ethical health and supportive care services that do align with the requirements outlined in HSCPOA's code, and most will never be subject to a complaint. Next slide. However, if anyone has a concern about the conduct or care they receive from a HSCPOA registered PSW, they may submit a complaint using our online complaint form, which we have uploaded to our website in both English and French. And HSCPOA will carefully review every complaint that is received in the interest of public protection through a fair and transparent process, very much similar to the health regulatory colleges, the professionals that they regulate, so nurses, physiotherapists, dietitians, etc., as well as many other regulated professionals outside the healthcare realm, like early childhood educators, paralegals, accountants, and even real estate agents as well, are all subject to complaints. Next slide, please. So fair and transparent, what does that mean in the context of when a complaint is received by HSCPOA? So within 14 days of receipt of complaint, the registrant receives an exact copy of the complaint. And both the registrant and the complainant, that's the person who filed the complaint, are given fact sheets that outline the complaint process in clear language to help them understand the various steps that go into investigating a complaint. Both parties are very actively involved in the process, including the registrant, and both are able to provide any and all documentation for HSCPOA to consider. So that could be an email, a photograph, a document, a timesheet, anything the registrant wishes HSCPOA to consider can be submitted. And what's very important to note is that no decisions will be made until we receive the registrant's response. So that is a misconception that we're hearing outside. That is not correct. So HSCPOA will wait for the registrant's response before proceeding with the complaint. And in that note, you may also have a representative or a legal professional represent you with your in the complaints process with HSCPOA. So all we need is your written consent, and going forward, we would then only communicate with your representative or a legal professional. But you may also choose to engage with HSCPOA on your own. That's your decision to make. So we do recognize that there is apprehension from registrants about complaints, and understandably so. It's new and it's an unknown quantity, so to speak, for PSWs. But despite our primary mandate being public protection, the fact that a complaint is received does not necessarily mean there will be a decision that negatively impacts the registrant. For most complaints, except for cases where there's a severe risk of harm to the public, like sexual abuse, the registrant will be able to continue to provide health and supportive care services while that complaint is investigated and even after an outcome is made. So the point you want to stress is that HSCPOA's complaint system will be open, fair, and transparent. And to reiterate, both the registrant and the complainant, the person who submitted the complaint, will be involved in the entire process. Next slide, please. And once the investigation is complete, HSCPOA's CEO, Trevor, you heard from earlier, will then review the entire case file, and that includes the registrant's response, any documents they submitted, and will make his decision using a risk-based framework, considering both aggravating and mitigating factors. So that could be things like the registrant's prior history with HSCPOA. Do they have prior complaints? The registrant's level of insight and cooperation with HSCPOA during the investigation or review of the complaint, and things like the number of incidents involved in that complaint will all be considered. So HSCPOA's response will be measured and proportionate to the concerns, and whenever appropriate, the focus will be remediation, such as resolving the issues through mediation or providing a letter of advice with guidance. So it could be reviewing a particular section of the code that is tied to the concerns in that complaint. Perhaps a refresher course in record keeping or how to communicate with difficult individuals. Could be meeting with a PSW mentor from HSCPOA's PSW Advisory Committee, or reviewing one or all of HSCPOA's 5 competency modules. And all of these items are either low cost or free for the individuals to take. So once that's all complete, detailed written decisions in clear language will be sent to both the registrant and the complainant. So some complaint outcomes are required to be posted on our public register, and this is not a decision that I've made or Trevor's made. It's outlined in the register regulation under the HSCPOA Act. So that dictates exactly what needs to be posted with regards to complaint outcomes, and it includes any additional training, warnings, any restrictions imposed on that registrant, and lastly, any referrals to the discipline committee. And what gets posted is strictly a summary. So it would indicate a complaint was received on a certain date, and it involves sections 3, 5, and 8 of the Code of Ethics, HSCPOA's Code of Ethics, and then lastly, the outcome. So it's strictly a high-level summary that is uploaded on the public register. So any complaints that are resolved via take no action or remediation or letter of advice do not appear on the public register. And all of this is very much in line with those regulated health professionals we've all referenced earlier. So nurses, dietitians, massage therapists, etc. So although complaints decisions themselves are final, as you've heard, the registrant and the complainant will be involved throughout the entire process. They are still appealable by applying to the Ontario Divisional Court for judicial review. And for more serious concerns like abuse that are referred to discipline, those decisions are appealable to HSCPOA's Appeals Committee, which I like to highlight is something that is unique for registrants of HSCPOA. And this is something that nurses, dietitians, massage therapists, etc., do not have. Their discipline committee decisions are final, and they can only be appealed through the divisional court route. So just to close the complaints portion of the presentation, I just want to highlight again a few things for you to take away. So it's important again to note HSCPOA will never make a decision on a complaint without first notifying you, the registrant, and you will have ample opportunities to be involved in the process before a decision is made. And again, we won't make any decisions until we have that response from you, or there have been repeated opportunities to do so. And just because a complaint is received doesn't necessarily mean there will be a negative impact for you, the registrant. And the last thing I'll say before I turn it back over to Trevor is just a reminder that we do have detailed frequently asked questions and answers on our website with regards to the complaints process. So it's many of the suspected questions I'm sure many of you have. And if there are still questions after you review those, please reach out to complaints@hscpoa.com and we'll put this on the screen later. And we'd be happy to clarify anything for you. So that's it for me, and I'll turn it over to Trevor.
Great, thanks, Daniel. I just want to highlight a couple of points, and you've said it, and you've been very clear. But having me maybe repeat a couple of key points out of the section of your presentation, I just would like to drive a couple items home. The first of which is we've heard that there is messaging out there that if you are a PSW and a complaint is issued against you, it would likely result in an impact on your abilities to function as a PSW. Daniel's gone to great extent to make sure that he's conveyed that it's all measured against a risk-based framework, and the intention here is to find remediation and behaviors, not remove anyone from their PSW roles unless they are very egregious in the actions that have been determined and have been confirmed. So I just want to make sure that that's very clear. It's not an absolute get complaint and then you run the risk of not being able to function as a PSW. That is just a false impression that sometimes gets shared around. The other one is, well, if you are subject to a complaint, you're on your own. You have no one to help you. You are essentially facing this situation on your own. That is also a false statement, because you are entitled, as Daniel articulated, to bring as many supports as you need in order to respond appropriately and fairly to the situation that you're being involved in with the complaint. So that means you can bring a member of your professional association, you can bring a member of your union if you are a unionized individual. It could mean you bringing colleagues. It could mean you bringing other individuals that would in some way influence the matter that's being discussed. So I just want to make sure those two particular points are very clearly held and are shared and repeated again, just for emphasis, because the messaging out there sometimes gives us a false impression, which leads to unnecessary anxiety and a lot of distress on our very valued PSWs in the system. So I'll move on to the next content, and I just thank you for that little message. So we have a call to action for PSWs, employers, and other system partners. Become registered. Help inspire others and raise awareness. Convey the benefits of PSW registration with HSCPOA. Share HSCPOA's resources and promotional content widely, including our videos, info sheets, guides, and FAQs that are available on our website. If you haven't already done so, subscribe to HSCPOA News to receive timely information. You can scan this QR code that is on the screen to sign up very easily, but you can also go to our website, which is HSCPOA.ca. HSCPOA.com, and you'll see on that landing site the opportunity for you to guide yourself to register for the HSCPOA news. Please also follow up with us on our social media platforms, Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube. And with that, I think I'm going to turn it over to Miranda. And thank you so much for your time and attention through our presentation from HSCPOA. Over to you, Miranda.
Well, thank you very, very much, Trevor and team. It was very, very informative, and I was really happy with the end there, where you guys really made it very clear about the disciplinary actions that can and cannot happen for PSWs, and how clear you guys were with, the truth behind it all. So that makes me happy, because all you did was echo exactly what we have been saying. So PSWs, thank you very much for this. Now we're just going to go down to my portion of the presentation, which is talking about the association, and of course what we do as your professional association. If some of you guys probably that are on here already are quite aware of, but we are the Ontario PSW Association, the professional association for you guys in the province of Ontario. And yes, we do work alongside HSCPOA, as we are all here to help you and protect you. That's our core job as the association. I would actually like to say is the association protects the PSWs, and HSCPOA's job is to protect the public. And I think if you look at it that way, as also as in comparison to CNO, College of Nurses, and then the RNAO or WeRPN, it's that same setup where the WeRPN and RNAO, they are there to protect the nurses, and the CNO is there to protect the public. So it's that same concept. So what is a professional association? We are a membership-based group formed by individuals in the same or similar occupations. I am a personal support worker, graduate of Mohawk College of 2006. So I get it, been in the trenches with, I'm sure, many of you, many different times, and to advance their career field and protect the interests of those working in it. So a professional association, advancing the profession, what does that mean? We promote the value of the industry to the public and lobby governments for favorable policies or legislation. As you guys are well aware, through COVID, OPSWA was very much front and center with the government, lobbying for you guys and working with the government on policies and legislation in order to protect you guys when you were out in the field. So that is an example of that. Member support. So we provide resources to help individuals succeed, such as job boards, salary surveys, and legal advice. A bunch of other things that we offer are discounted health and dental benefits for our members. We also have discounted professional development education as well through our professional development center. And we have a lot of commercial discount partners such as Marsworth Warehouse, CAA, Rogers Wireless, etc. It's all about saving you guys a buck so that you can be praised really and celebrated for being PSWs, while you get access to it. Standard setting, we establish best practice guidelines and offer continuous professional development opportunities for our members, which is really important. And regulatory setting, we invest in understanding the regulatory oversight, and we're committed to keeping our membership aware of timely developments. So this is why we work with HSCPOA in that same space. Why is it important for PSWs to have a professional association? I think I said it quite clearly in the beginning, is we are here to protect the personal support worker. HSCPOA is here to protect the public. You need to have both sides of the coin. So one of the things we do as well is professional networking. So we connect you guys with each other, with mentors, educators, and lots of employers. Build meaningful relationships that support your career growth and professional confidence. Like I always say, the more certificates or more training you have, the more competitive you become as a personal support worker, which goes right into my next point, is you guys gain access to OPSWA approved training, continuing education units, workshops, webinars like the one we're on right now, and exclusive professional development opportunities designed specifically for the PSW, like our professionalism and practice course or palliative care for the PSW, or mental health or autism training that we provide for our PSWs. Career advancement opportunities. So you get access to our members only job postings. We have a lot of employers that come to OPSWA and only want to hire OPSWA PSWs because of our insurance element. If you're an OPSWA member, which I'll get into a bit later, you do receive insurance automatically. Employer partnerships and leadership opportunities through OPSWA committees. We actually have a great PSW advisory council that I meet with once a month, and it's chock full of personal support workers from all different walks of life. They all work in different areas, and once a month we come together where they tell us what's happening in the field on the front line so that we can better advocate and lobby for you guys. Professional recognition and credibility. OPSWA membership demonstrates professionalism, accountability, and a commitment to yourself as a personal support worker and your growth in the profession. Being a verified OPSWA member helps you stand out to employers, recruiters, and healthcare organizations across Ontario. Do other professions in healthcare have a professional association? So like I talked at the beginning, you have the registered nurses, registered practical nurses, physicians, nurse practitioners, and then of course PSWs is OPSWA. So what does OPSWA offer our members? Annual criminal background checks included at no additional cost. So we do nationally enhanced criminal record checks and provincial judicial checks. They're done by our members every single year when they renew their membership. They also get a $2 million professional liability insurance, or some of you on here might know it better as medical malpractice insurance. And of course, an additional $50,000 abuse coverage. You get access to PSW specialization and advanced training programs, exclusive course discounts, career guidance, job resources, and workplace advocacy, discounts and preferred pricing on retail, insurance, and partner services, an official OPSWA photo ID badge, which is very, very popular amongst our personal support workers. This is our badge, and this is what our OPSWA members get. And this gets sent out to you once you become a member. You get this anywhere from 3 to 6 weeks after you join the association. And this identifies you as a personal support worker in the province of Ontario, being fully insured and fully back checked. A lot of members of the public are looking for this badge, as is employers. So how do HSCPOA and OPSWA work together? So Trevor, you really hit on this a bit better probably than I'm going to right now. But you know, HSCPOA is the oversight body. Like I said, they're here to protect the public from bad PSWs. And as a personal support worker myself, having been a PSW for 20 years, that was always a dream of mine back when I was working frontline as a PSW is, you know, we all know PSWs that should not be PSWs. And there needs to be something in place to stop these so-called bad apple PSWs from, you know, working in one place, getting fired for something not good, and picking up and walking down the street to another long-term care facility and getting hired. And this is where HSCPOA is going to stand in the gap, right? So we represent the voice of the personal support worker. So what our biggest thing that we do is we advocate for fair working conditions for the PSW and making sure that you guys have what you need in order to be successful in your careers as PSWs. But together we share a common focus on the importance of valued personal support workers within our healthcare system in Ontario. So our collaboration helps ensure accurate and consistent messaging about HSCPOA and the new oversight body as well. I know that just to echo what Trevor said, a lot of things out there being said, a lot of unknowns and a lot of unneeded anxiety. And many times you guys can reach out to us. You definitely recommend reaching out to HSCPOA, but just know that everything we tell you about HSCPOA comes directly from HSCPOA's mouth. So we are conveying what they want you guys to know. So this collaborative effort, it does contribute to better care outcomes and stronger sector accountability and more sustainable future for the PSWs in Ontario. So we will be definitely keeping you guys informed about HSCPOA's activities to assist our members to understand how this PSW regulation will impact you all. So questions, and that is the end of my presentation. So I think we do have some questions. I'm sure you guys already answered them, but we're going to open up the Q&A now to our wonderful PSWs and friends that have joined us on here. Please, if you have any questions, we have a bit more time that HSCPOA can answer them directly right to you right now. So if you find the Q&A at the bottom of the page, you can click there and you can ask your questions. I guess we'll give it a minute, see what comes through. Unless we were that good.
Miranda, we have actually responded to a few in the answered section, so I don't know if there's not new ones coming in. Should we just read out the ones that have been answered already?
Sure, absolutely. I think that's a good idea. Sure.
And would you like us to do that, or would
I
you like to
think maybe you
facilitate?
guys should. It's all about HSCPOA.
Okay. Okay, I will handle the registration ones and then hand it over to Daniel. So I'm just going to start sort of from the first one on the list heading down. So the first question is about I would be pathway 2. However, my education institution course catalogs only date back to 2011. How do I prove completion of 600 hours? What you can do if you cannot get your documentation about your education confirmation and that it was 600 hours, then what you can do is come in through path 2, experience only, provided that you have in fact worked at least 600 hours in the past 3 years. We also have ways to confirm education confirmation of duration of programs directly with institutions, and or if it was a NAC program, so a National Association of Career Colleges, then we do look everyone up on the NAC portal to verify program completion. So the next one, it says, you are welcome to connect with us at registration@hscpoa.com. So there's just a question about reaching out to us. And we do have a telephone number that you can contact us in registration, which is 647-354-5446. So email is best, registration@hscpoa.com, and we will be happy to talk to you and set up a call thereafter. Okay. Then there is a question about renewal, and there is no requirement for working a certain number of hours as a PSW to renew your registration. So at this time, all PSW registrants will renew, and that is not dependent on how many hours they've worked each year.
We've got some new
Have I
questions,
missed
Deborah?
anything?
No, we've got some
We
new
do.
questions.
Okay,
Yes, we do.
great.
So I'll read it out, and whoever wants to answer it can go for it. If a person applies with HSCPOA as a PSW, well, actually, this one's for me. Are we protected with OBSWA? You have to be a member of OBSWA in order to be protected by OBSWA. So all information is on our main website, which I will type an answer in underneath that question to give you our website. Remember, our membership is all tax deductible, and it comes with a lot of bells and whistles that PSWs do require. But no, if you apply, I heavily recommend that you both apply for HSCPOA and for OBSWA, because that is the ultimate PSW right there. So I will put that in there for them. Okay. Thank you for that question. All right, the next question is HSCPOA or OBSWA can assist as references when looking for jobs as a PSW. Who wants to take this one?
Well, I
Well,
can
I can just
probably let.
comment.
Oh,
Sorry,
go
go
ahead.
ahead.
I was just going to say that with HSCPOA being a unbiased regulator, we are looking at the individuals that are registrants as individuals that are subject to the oversights of our organization, but we would not be able to provide any references of any kind for employment consideration purposes. However, as a registrant, your information is publicly available in the public register and can be referred to by a potential employer that wants to look to see what your relationship with the regulator has been, or what the content of your registry entry is. So I think probably Deborah was going to say that part, but
No, that's great. And the only thing I would add is that a certificate of registration is issued to each individual PSW registrant with HSCPOA, and you'd have access to that from your registrant dashboard. So you can show that or indicate that you're registered on your resume, cover letter, and application for employment.
Perfect. And as for OBSWA, yes, we do references for jobs. If you're a member of the association, we can provide a letter that you are in good standing with your professional association as a registered member of the association. So we're more so on the employment side than that of HSCPOA. It's interesting. It's a weird world, PSWs. We're going to figure it out. It's going to happen. Okay, so the next one is My name is Joel, just graduated from the PSW a month ago and have registered with HSCPOA. What is the best place to apply for jobs? I would recommend, Joel, looking on Indeed, looking on the OPSWA website, looking on the OPSWA Facebook pages, etc. Because again, HSCPOA is not they're not going to give you a job or find you a job. And OPSWA as well, we can assist with resumes if you're a member, or with interview tactics, and we can help find you employment to an extent. So I hope that helped. It says the slides say a criminal record check is required. I think I just lost that. Oh no, what does this entail? Can it be a VSS? What time period for this check that you'll accept? Example, 6 months.
Yeah, great question. A criminal record check is required at application. We accept either a vulnerable sector check or a criminal record and judicial matters check. Valid checks mean they were completed within the past 12 months before the date you apply for registration with HSCPOA. So if you have a valid check, you're welcome to upload that. If you need to undergo a new check, you can do that with your local police station, or there is an option that you can complete a check through HSCPOA's application form. And I will put a link to information on our website about criminal record checks.
Fantastic. These are some great questions. This person says, what do we say to employers who are asking for PSW certification, but you applied through HSCPOA Pathway 4? What do you say to the employer?
That if you're registered under
so the registered Pathway 4.
Yeah. If you're registered with HSCPOA, it doesn't make any difference what pathway you became registered under. All registrants are created equally and held to the same standard for safe care according to HSCPOA's Code of Ethics. All regulatory bodies have different pathways to registration to ensure fair and transparent practices for registration. And so there are different pathways to become registered, but they're all recognized and held equally.
Love it. Love it. Okay. I like this next question. What is the process for a potential Path 1 employee who graduated from an Ontario PSW education program that is not on the HSCPOA list of approved MCUs, nor on the drop-down list in the application portal?
I'm just going to go there for a second. Yep. So a PSW has completed a program that isn't in the list. Well, we can find out whether or not that program was either missed on our list, perhaps a newer addition to the Ministry of Colleges and Universities, career colleges, or other sources. If they are actually not from a recognized program on our list through Path 1, then there may be an opportunity for somebody to come in through Path 2, depending on their circumstances, if they are employed as a PSW in Ontario. Because registration is voluntary at this time, employers are still hiring PSWs if you're not registered. So there may be an opportunity for you to come in through Path 2 once you have completed 600 hours of work.
Perfect. I'm a PSW, but is this only for new PSW registrants, or is it for all PSWs?
All PSWs. So if you're not a PSW registrant with HSCPOA now, then you have the opportunity to come in and become registered. This includes PSWs that are new graduates and those that have, worked for many decades in the PSW field in Ontario.
Fantastic. And we got 2 more, and then I think we're going to end it, but there's 2. If a PSW stops working in the field for a period of time, how does that affect their membership or their registration, I guess I should say?
At this point in time, the regulations don't have a minimum work hour requirement for PSWs. So someone can maintain their registration if there are gaps in their work. Maybe they go off on maternity leave or other kinds of leave. But in order to be eligible under Path 2, if that's the pathway someone's eligible under, they must have worked at least 600 hours in the previous 3 years before they apply to HSCPOA.
Okay, fantastic. And I'm just going to answer this one really quick because Margaret threw in an OPSWA question, as per all the other ones. I read that we can pay OPSWA by installment. Is that true? Yes, it is, Margaret. We've now offering a 4-part installment payment plan for PSW members of the association. You can head over to our website. Again, I can put that below. You can check it out on the PSW membership. So we have done that for you guys. All right. Well, thanks very much, everyone, for joining us for a very informative and very talkative HSCPOA and OPSWA webinar. I hope that you guys gained a lot of insight from what HSCPOA had to share and of course what OPSWA had to share. Remember, if you guys have any questions, anything at all, please feel free to reach out to both of us. This will be shared on our social media platforms tomorrow. Tomorrow morning, they're going to be going out on our YouTube and our Facebook, of course. So make sure that if you didn't see the whole thing, you guys can head over there. And of course, Carly, our marketing director, will throw in all the links necessary to get a hold of HSCPOA and of course to get a hold of OPSWA. So I want to thank everyone from HSCPOA for joining us. Is there any last words you guys would like to say before we end?
Just a standard one I've used with your forum before, Miranda, and that is a thank you to all of your PSW members and the PSW workers in the province of Ontario for their valued contributions each and every day to stand up Ontario's healthcare system and to ensure safe, competent, and ethical care that's being delivered to our care recipients. Your work is valued, and we certainly see and recognize the work that you do.
Fantastic. Thanks very much, Trevor. Always nice to have you guys on here. I'm sure we'll be doing it again sometime soon. But thanks everyone for joining us. Again, if you have any questions, anything like that, feel free to reach out to HSCPOA and or OPSWA, and we'll make sure that we get you guys the correct information. But thanks for joining us. Have a wonderful evening, and everyone take care.